Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland. I'm in front of the Dial House in Twickenham, London. So it's so cool because it's got this dial on the clock in the middle. Unfortunately it's very misty, you can't see very well. Sorry for the poor visibility, but the mist is coming off the Thames, which is very close to here. Anyway, this house is where Thomas Twining lived, in the 18th century. So Thomas Twining is famous for founding the tea company, Twining & Co., which is still in the family. Anyway, Thomas Twining is born in Gloucestershire in 1685. His father was a fuller, which means that he completed items of clothing. Someone would make most of the item of clothing and the fuller fills it out. Hence they got that name, fuller. But then when Thomas was 9, the family moved to London. So they were, I suppose, lower middle class. Thomas Twining was certainly literate, which a lot of people were not in those days. And then he was apprenticed to, I can't remember which trade it was, but he later switched to working for a merchant, and he had dealings with the Honourable East India Company. Not that he ever went anywhere near India, but he was purchasing their products, and they brought them back to this country and then selling them on, but particularly tea. And then eventually, I can't remember quite which year it was it 1706? He founded a Twining & Company, and then their tea shop on the Strand, that street in London, the city of London to be more precise, that really counted as London. Back then, where we are in Twickenham was well outside in the country. We're in the county of Middlesex. So he sold tea and little else. Coffee was more popular. Tea was only just coming in as a popular thing. Catherine of Braganza, that Portuguese princess who wed Charles II, she had introduced tea to this country because the Portuguese trading with China had brought tea back here. Previously, nobody drank tea. She was offered a mug of beer when she came here because people drank small beer, as in beer with a very low alcohol content, like 0.5% alcohol. Even children drank it on the way to school. The idea that being that the river water is too foul to drink, so by distilling it, then you made it potable. But tea was actually good for public health. We didn't realise why. It wasn't the tea as such. It was that they boiled the water, which made it more hygienic, and the death rate started to go down, and the population explosion began. Tea became very fashionable. It was quite pricey, and Twining made an awful lot of money. When John Wesley came along, founder of Methodism, he was against tea, not on principle, not that there's anything wrong with the substance itself, but it was too costly, and poor people were beggaring themselves drinking tea simply because it was en vogue. Anyway, so Twining, he made himself a handsome fortune. He moved out here. He maybe doesn't seem like that an amazing a house, though he did have other houses. And the year of construction is not certain, but it says 1726 on that dial up there, on the clock, the sun dial, redeeming the time. And it says Thomas Twining in the middle of it. Maybe you can see. So probably the house is from 1726 as well. So when he died, he's buried in St Mary's Church, which is just by here, and there's a memorial on the wall, a memorial plaque to him. So then his family, the Twinings, are going to this day. They still own that business, and it's the oldest family business in the world, which is still based at its original site, that premises on the Strand, still selling tea. You can't go in there and drink it, I don't think. You can only purchase it and walk away with it. But the family hasn't had the house. They in the late 19th century that they sold on, I think one of his descendants, yes, she gave it to the Church of England because the local clergyman's house was in a state of disrepair. So it was a vicarage for a while, and then from the 1960s, the Bishop of Kensington had it as his episcopal palace. Having said that, there is no Kensington Cathedral. I was a bit surprised. I thought every bishop has a cathedral, but no. But the Bishop of Kensington is in charge of many parishes in West London, but resides here. So that is Dial House. That's why I mentioned something about the bishop's office in that plaque on the front gate. So that's enough from me. Okay, toodaloo.